EOIR encompasses the two main technologies that are used in night vision. Image intensification, or as they know it, I squared in the acronym world, and the detection of heat through thermal imaging. Both technologies have their advantages and disadvantages. I squared is basically a device, a phosphor and vacuum tube device that intensifies the ambient light so that you can use it in a goggle or a viewing scope to see in low-level light conditions or at night. An image intensifier is basically a phosphor and vacuum tube device that increases the intensity of ambient visible light, allowing the use of optical devices under low light conditions and at night. It uses a photocathode which converts light photons into electrons, and an electron multiplication device such as a microchannel plate which both amplifies the electrons and projects them towards a phosphor screen. This converts them back to visible light to be viewed by the operator. Integrating the tube into a viewing system with lenses and eyepieces, you get what is generically called a night vision goggle, or NVG. Current thermal imaging devices use an array of heat-sensitive detectors called picture elements or pixels, arranged in an array format called a focal plane array, or FPA. These systems create an electronic picture depending on the intensity of the radiated heat it detects. Some detector materials require cooling to enhance the sensitivity and are connected to a cooling engine. Together they are known as an integrated detector cooler assembly, or IDECA. There are also detectors sensitive enough that they do not require cooling. Although FPA devices are the current preferred thermographic device, image intensifying technology with a phosphor sensitive to infrared light has also been used. In 2003, about 65% of night vision devices used by land forces had got the Generation 3 I squared tube. They were used in goggle form, either binocular with two tubes, biocular with one tube and two eyepieces, or as a monocular. These can be either handheld, helmet mounted, or in case of monocular, can be added to a weapon to give you night vision in your sighting. Since the Gulf War of 2003, the use of night vision devices of all types has increased, and the applications go across to aviators' night vision goggles as well. They were used initially in armoured fighting vehicles to give night vision, and also for drivers' viewing systems. In terms of application, the application has been fairly constant. We still have use of thermal imaging in night sights for weapons, handheld observation devices, and also these have evolved into target acquisition systems with the addition of lasers and such like. And as far as armoured fighting vehicles and drivers' viewing systems are concerned, thermal imaging has just about replaced image intensification in this area. In 2003, many focal plane arrays were configured in a 320 by 240 pixel format. At the same time, higher formats of 640 by 480 were just entering service and production. Today, we've got up to what they call high definition, similar to your TV HD, with array formats of 1024 by 1024, 1280 by 720, and such like being available, and higher resolution arrays are on the way. The need for more resolution and a higher number of pixels is simply because with more pixels you can get a longer range or a better resolution depending on which field of view you have your lens in. The development of these arrays has been made possible by the production of the individual pixels and the way they are mounted in the array, and the space between them is known as the pixel pitch. In 2003, pixel pitches of 35 to 30 were the norm, with 25 and 20 coming in. Today we've got pixel pitches of 17, 15 and 12 is just on the way. So that means for a given size of the array physically, the more pixels you can get in, the better the resolution. Weapon sights, particularly clip-on weapon sights, have been the main beneficiary of the advances in uncooled thermal detection. However, we have seen the emergence of shortwave infrared technology, which covers a similar area to I². Although not strictly thermal, shortwave infrared uses the reflective starlight, starglow and moonglow the same as I², and it has the advantage of being able to be transmitted electronically. Bringing I² and thermal imaging together has long been the holy grail of infantry night vision technologists in order to bring together the clear target identification capabilities of I² and the long-range detection capabilities of thermal imagery. In 2003, the US Army selected an enhanced night vision goggle developed by ITT Night Vision, which used a long-wave thermal imager to inject a view over the image intensified view. This enhanced night vision goggle entered service in 2009, and since then the company has introduced what they call a spirally enhanced goggle, which starts to smooth out and resolve some of the actual physical tendencies of the goggle itself. This, however, was an optically overlaid fusion, and the scientists and the Army have been looking for a digitally fused option, and several companies in the States are actually working on this at the moment. But it's slightly more complicated technically, and it could be a while before we find a practical and cost-effective digital fused goggle. Meanwhile, while this development has been going on in the United States, industry there and elsewhere have been looking at a way of bringing thermal imagery into in-service night vision goggles, so you don't have to junk your in-service kit. And the solution that has evolved is a clip-on thermal imager that you can put on your existing night vision goggles. Again, it uses an optical overlay. It's not quite as good as the main one the US Army are now getting, but it certainly is more than a halfway house to the capability. We've talked about image fusion, and pure digital image fusion really takes a lot of processing time, a lot of computers, a lot of software, and can be quite classified in the technology used. So what has emerged is a slightly different concept called image blending that can be used with sensor systems such as airborne turrets, where there are daylight cameras as well as thermal imagery cameras. By using common array formats and lenses, the two images can be superimposed one above the other. It is then possible to vary the mix of the resultant image from 100% thermal and 0% daylight on a sliding scale across to 0% thermal and 100% daylight. This allows the sensor operator to maintain the best mix to find the target he is looking for and maintain track as weather conditions change. If one accepts that the regular requirements of the military to reduce size, weight, power and cost, at the same time improving resolution, will apply, what is the future for night vision? For I², I think we will see continuing evolution in the technology and producibility of the tubes themselves. At the same time, we will see some of the electron multiplication devices and the shortwave infrared cameras moving into the area as well to take over some of the applications of the I2 device. The advantage there being that, of course, they can then transmit the imagery over the network-centric battlefield. For thermal imaging, what we're going to see, I think now, is the emergence of newer detector materials that make the detectors easier to produce and reduce in size. And we will also see, and it's starting already, the development of detectors that cover two different parts of the waveband with the same detector. These are sometimes known as dual band or two color. We can now see the reduction in pixel pitch coming into thermal detectors, and as the pitch reduces, certainly with uncooled devices, we're going to get to a stage where a capability previously in a big piece of kit can now come down to a very small piece of kit, making its adaptability for head-mounted or weapon sight-mounted applications much more easier for the soldier who has to carry them.